That was Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne in Ottawa today as he made an announcement regarding some initial commitments, he said, from Canada's grocers to stabilize food prices in this country. It comes after Champagne spent the past few weeks meeting with industry leaders in Ottawa. For more reaction, let's bring in Michael Osborne, chair of the Canadian Competition Practice at Cozen O'Connor. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Delighted to be here.
So it was interesting, even in just the way that Champagne was talking about how unusual it was to have all of these grocers, of the top 5 grocers, the heads of those companies, in the same room together, talking about strategy and prices. And I was thinking automatically that doesn't really sound like a place where competition would grow if you have people talking about that in the room. But it was also interesting because he was trying to be very careful about not actually giving a ton of details about what those discounts are going to look like, what those price freezes are going to look like, because he didn't want to, it seems, detail what some of the strategies of the grocers, you know, if they submitted them individually to him, what they were, because that could potentially, hamper competition.
Yeah, so that's not something we would normally advise our clients to do, to get into a room with their competitors and start talking about prices. This is kind of the opposite of competition. One hopes that they individually came up with whatever it was they were going to do and didn't collude on it. And I would be shocked if they did. They're well advised. They know they can't do that. There isn't some kind of an exemption for if the minister invites you to do it that you're allowed to.
Right.
So.
Yeah, he also was talking about this sparking competition in the grocery sector that wasn't there already, some price competition. And I wasn't really sure exactly what he meant by that, because, you know, if there should be competition in the market, right? If it's a free market, then, you know, what grocer A wants my dollars, grocer B does as well. So they're going to try to be competitive and fight for my money.
So there should be, and there is. The Competition Bureau's study found that margins in the grocery industry are low. In fact, the numbers that the Bureau has in their report shows an overall margin of 3.6%. Which means when you go to the grocery store and spend $100, $3.60 of that is the overall profit. That's not a lot. And it means there's not a lot of room for the grocery stores to cut their margins further to give us a break on our Thanksgiving turkeys.
So where do you think, you know, the price cuts, the freezes, all of that stuff could come from then that he was describing?
There are only 2 places for that to come from. Well, maybe 3. One is they accept a temporary reduction in their margins in order to make the minister happy and give the appearance of we're getting a break. The other is that they push it down on their suppliers and make their suppliers cut their margins. The third is that they raise prices somewhere else where we don't notice, and they make their margin up from there and are able to cut price on this basket of goods that the minister's talking about.
So, I mean, those actions that he described are, you know, the ones that consumers will be most plugged into if they are, as he was talking about, checking their flyers and seeing price differences there that satisfy them. But he did outline a couple of other steps as well. He was talking about a grocery task force that's going to investigate, they say, and uncover practices that hurt consumers, such as shrinkflation and dequaliflation. I'm not even sure I'm saying that right, but apparently it's about the quality of food. So if you're like diluting a type of food, maybe using, you know, a fruit flavor rather than fruit itself, then the quality of that food is going down. So this idea of investigating these sorts of practices, do you see potential there?
Well, he says they hurt consumers, but what they really are is about you're getting less for the same money instead of paying more for the same amount. So if they shrink your tub of yogurt, as has happened before, then you get less yogurt, but the price doesn't go up. I mean, it does go up, effectively. The price per milliliter is going up, but you don't, it's sort of a hidden price increase. So it's really no different from, regular price increases. It's an increase in price, and you either pay that or you don't. You substitute and buy something else, or you buy less of it.
When you're thinking about what we've heard so far, and he did, really try to underscore that these are initial steps, first steps, he said, and especially if it doesn't do what they're hoping that it will do in stabilizing prices, that they're willing to do more. Do you think that there is reason to be optimistic about competition, sparking more competition perhaps in the grocery sector from some of these steps, or would you need to see more?
So based on the figures that the Bureau published in its report, there's not a ton of room for competition to lower prices in groceries. And in fact, they suggest that they're already reasonably low. Fact is that we're experiencing inflation across virtually everything we buy except cell phones. And that's caused not by a lack of competition, but by government borrowing, increase in the money supply, all that stuff that economists talk about.
Yeah.
And until interest rates bring that under control, we're unfortunately paying the bill for the largesse that happened during the COVID times. And there's not much that can be done about that. In a sort of a broader perspective, I worry about the signal this is sending, that the government is now going to tell businesses what an acceptable profit level is or what acceptable prices are. This is verging towards the government now making decisions that businesses should be making, and effectively making our economy less free.